Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank Administrator Reagan for joining us today to discuss the President's fiscal 24 budget request for the EPA. Let me just start out, I hear what the Republicans say, and, I respect them a great deal. But look, the EPA doesn't regulate for the sake of regulating. When I go home, people are asking me what you're doing to protect their health and safety. The fact of the matter is we have a lot of challenges out there that we didn't have 3 or 4 years ago, climate change being one of them. The hurricanes, the natural disasters are getting stronger, the sea level is rising, more problems with asthma and people's health. These are challenges that must be addressed. And what I hear when I go home is, I'm not, not that the EPA is over-regulating, but what's the EPA doing? What is the federal government doing to protect my health and safety? That's the bottom line. And you have to do that. And that costs more money. I mean, that's the reality. So I just wanted to say that last Congress, Democrats delivered historic wins for the American people that are directing investments into communities around the nation. The bipartisan infrastructure law invested $1.2 trillion to modernize our nation's aging and crumbling infrastructure. It included EPA funding to ensure Americans have access to safe and clean water by making infrastructure upgrades and replacing lead pipes to reduce harmful exposure. The law is also revitalizing communities by cleaning up Superfund and brownfield sites. People are concerned about contamination from these sites. People are concerned about their health and how lead pipes impact their health. You're trying to address those things. The Inflation Reduction Act will help us lead the world in the transition to a clean energy economy by producing homegrown clean energy, combating the climate crisis, creating millions of good-paying jobs, lowering energy costs, and building a more healthier, sustainable future. This is what people are concerned about in my district. This law was enacted 9 months ago, and it's already producing major results. Projects valued at tens of billions of dollars are already underway. More than half of them are in Republican congressional districts, and more than 142,000 clean energy jobs have been created. And yet not one Republican on this committee supported either of these bills. Instead, my Republican colleagues have spent the first month of their majority fixated on undermining these investments and these environmental protections at every turn. And now they're threatening a default crisis with their Default on America Act that puts polluters over people. Republicans have made their agenda clear: repeal the Inflation Reduction Act and provide broad carve-outs to bedrock environmental laws for polluters at the expense of the health and safety of workers and families. This is unpopular, short-sighted, and it puts the economy at great risk. In sharp contrast, the President's budget request builds on the success of these unprecedented investments and reflects Democrats' commitment to the health, safety, and prosperity of all American families. To combat the climate crisis, the budget increases funding for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and helping communities build resilience to the impacts of climate change. It also allocates $1.4 billion to improve air quality across the country. EPA will also drive down super pollutants with methane reduction programs and the implementation of the American Innovation and Manufacturing Act, a bipartisan law to curb the production and use of potent hydrofluorocarbons in our atmosphere. That one was done when Trump was president, and we did it on a bipartisan basis. The budget request supplements the reinstatement of the Superfund tax to fund more cleanup activities. I fought for decades to reinstate this tax, and thanks to these two bills, it is once again a reality. Over 20% of Americans live within 3 miles of a Superfund site, and remediating and revitalizing contaminated properties will create jobs, mitigate threats to human health, and directly benefit the communities affected by these sites. The budget also bolsters EPA's work to advance environmental justice by using the new Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights to help deliver on its commitments to the communities who have struggled with legacy pollution for far too long. I'm also pleased to see that the budget devotes $170 million to combating PFAS and increases funding to effectively implement the Toxic Substances Control Act, again, bipartisan, allowing the agency to evaluate and manage risks from toxic chemicals, protecting workers and families. So this is a budget request that will ensure EPA can fulfill its mission to protect human health and the environment. To be successful, EPA must have adequate funding and staff to meet the statutory obligations set by Congress. And I think the President recognized this. So once again, I just have to say, I listen to my Republican colleagues. When I go home, this is what people care about. They're worried. They want to clean up these sites. They don't want pollution. They don't want asthma to get worse. That's all you're trying to do. And that's your job. And I commend you for doing it. And I yield back, Mr. Chairman.